Start streaming. Booyah. Mm. Yep. Yeah, the old lady's out and about with her friends. We're,
I need to beverage up.
have at it.
Yeah, man. Got my second shot today.
Booyah. I'll be interested to hear how you feel tomorrow. Like, I didn't really have anything. It didn't, like, I got mine on Friday, and then, I stayed up way too late, and then Saturday I was fine. Sunday, like midday, maybe 3 o'clock or so, I felt kind of tired, so I went and took a nap for about an hour. But that's like every other Sunday, I guess. You know what I mean? Like,
Hell, it is for me now.
I don't know if I was, COVID shot tired or if I was just, I was tired. So, but that was it. After my hour nap, I woke up. I'm like, I feel good. I need a beer. So,
You know what's funny about that is the napping thing for me started before getting the shot, and I mean now it's just a thing.
yeah.
I didn't today, but I mean if I hadn't gone out and got a steak, I probably would have taken a nap at like 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And had to set an alarm to make sure I wake up. Like, it's weird. I don't know if it's getting old or what. I hope that's not a getting old thing.
Who knows?
I hope it's just being overstressed.
What's up, Roger? What's up, Deb? Yeah, it's I don't know. I remember growing up and my dad would be like, "I'm going to go take me a nap." And I'm like, "You are so boring," right? And then now here I am. I'm like, "I'm going to go take me a nap." Like everything's just full circle,
Well, yeah, I used to I was the kind of guy that like it had to be dead silent and pitch black or I couldn't fall asleep.
Uh-huh.
Now I can sleep sitting up on my couch and lose 90 minutes just in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know what the difference is, but there's something different.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep, that's that, I reckon. I mean, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, just bring it up.
I mean, I usually fall asleep during the races now for like 90 minutes. The Sunday races. And I don't mind that they start late, but I'll definitely take a nap during the race. I mean, with all the stuff on, too.
Yeah.
The radio's on, or, I mean, like Chase's radio with the TV's volumes on, and I'm just...
yeah. I had me a little nap this past Sunday, matter of fact. So that's, I had my COVID nap before, if we call it that, and then, or the COVID shot nap. Roger says we're going to hear the fart horn in order of Alex farting on the Zoom chat. Well, I'll say this. You know who Jeremy picked last week on the PETM podcast?
Did he pick Bowman?
He did. It was like out of nowhere. He's got.
Oh my God, that's right. Because he tweeted at me. He was like, "I got it."
Yeah.
So yes, we got a fart horn for you tonight, Roger, and Jeremy, if you just happen to be paying attention.
Yeah. That was. That's.
You know what I do have though? Like, so I've got this delayed reaction of bruise. I didn't have any bruising, and then like 3 weeks later, and it's like it's all the way down to here.
Oh dang! Yeah, that was the only side effect I had. I mean, it was like you had hit me with a baseball bat in the side of the arm, and the next day and the next day were pretty tender, but other than that, again, I don't know.
Kind of like a tetanus and an MMR booster, like when we were kids.
Oh yeah.
And hepatitis B and all that stuff.
I never had to get a tetanus booster because I kept getting what would you call it? Plunged by metal objects, so I'd have to go get a tetanus shot. So,
oh, okay.
I never had to have, which reminds me, I should probably go get a tetanus shot. I don't know. Are you supposed to just go get them every once in a while? I don't know how that works.
I don't know. It was a requirement to get into Georgia Tech that you had a recent booster?
I don't know what. Well, I'm
'Cause
sure
I
I
had one
did
when
by
I
then.
was like 8 or whatever age you do that,
Yeah, yeah,
and then I had one when I was at 18, and that was for the only reason why I did it is for
yeah.
college.
Roger says every 10ish years. I mean, I back in high school and even into college, I'd always mow the lawn, and we had so much crap in the yard that I'd run over something and get impaled by something. and, oh, I got to go get a tetanus shot now. So uh, it was a wire or nail, or there was one time they had to cut the wire out of me. It was crazy because it was the electric dog fence, like the one you bury in the yard, but
Oh,
we never bothered to bury it, I guess, in that spot. So I ran over it, and it shot into my leg, and when it went in, it curled up, and so they couldn't pull it out. They had to shoot me up with Novocaine, then cut it out of me, and then get it.
goodness.
Like wild
Well,
thing was, it never really hurt. I guess it was so small. I mean, it stung a little bit, but the the worst part was getting the Novocaine shot, and then that only does so much when they're freaking cutting you. So,
yeah, I don't know if you can see this.
oh yeah,
I don't know if the light's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
These two
Mhm.
marks. That's where a polyester fiber went through a protective glove
Oh god,
and through the webbing of my thumb.
oh
And I was
god.
like, that kind of stung a little bit.
Yeah,
And
well,
then
that's
about 10 minutes later, I noticed that my glove was completely like soaked
bloody.
with blood
Oh
around my hand.
gosh.
I'm like, yeah, I probably should throw this
Yeah,
away for safety reasons.
I should probably. That's when I was like, oh man, now I've got a thing. Like I got to deal with this now.
And I mean, by the time I got the glove off, it was all done. But I was like, that thing went straight through the webbing of my hand.
That's wild. See, I don't have much webbing. I'm all meat. I don't. That it would be
Well,
tough.
yeah, I mean, I didn't think I did either until it happened. And I was like, well, there's an entry wound and the exit wound.
Yeah.
I'm like, goodness.
Uh, that's funny. Deb says incident report. I bet you didn't report that one.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to be
It
the.
wasn't, I didn't even need a Band-Aid, so it wasn't a recordable. It wasn't even a first aid. I administered my own. It was, I did tell the health and safety manager,
Mm.
and he's like, well, are you good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. It's just, it was a weird thing that happened.
Oh man.
Whatever.
All right, sir. Well, you ready to podcast?
Uh, yes. Yes.
That didn't sound like a definitive yes, but
No, I'm
I'll
just
take
messing around. Yeah, absolutely.
it. All good. Let's do it. We are recording now. Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Air Racing Podcast, episode number 286. Today's Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace in the PETM Podcast Studio in Atlanta, Georgia. Podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. Go to patreon.com/PETM. Join the Watch Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie. Get some stickers. Best part is, every cent this year, we're once again donating to sponsored drivers. So join the PETM posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show, as always, brought to you by our official sponsors at that $5 and up per month level. Here they are. Aaron Bearden, Robert Kevlinger, Coleman McClam, Eric Kepner, Ryan Kiefer, Patrick Cleary, Jeff Brown, Brandon Crowd, Callie McDonald, Brandon Carl, Rika Porter, Julie Bosley, Eddie Greer, Third Younger Motorsports, David Mullins, Patrick Johnson, Brett Morris, Crystal Smoke, Fred Rosado, Chad Knapp, and Stacey Coleman, Lisa Chinana, Rick Houston, Sarah Anbari, Evan Roller, Matthew Bishop, Harry Balzania, AJ Evangelista, Janet Scott, Les Miller, and Jumpy Bob. Woo! All right. Got them all. Got them in before the song ends. I didn't do a great job of fading out the music there, but there it is. All right, why not?
Whatever, it happens.
From the PGM North Carolina studio. What's up, dude?
Man, I tell you what, got the old Moderna number 2 today, feeling pretty good.
Nice.
Ready to
Well
get
done.
on an airplane and go to a racetrack, my man.
Dude, the clock is ticking on me. I've got 3 more days. Friday is like the end of the incubation period. So I got mine like 2 Fridays ago. And so as soon as I'm going to be like counting it down like it's New Year's Eve or something, right? 3, 2, 1, yes. And then I don't know. I got to do something irresponsible. I don't know what.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I probably am supposed to wait 2 weeks from today, but yeah, uh, racing and stuff.
Racing. Gentlemen, start your engines. Speaking of starting the engines, what you drinking on tonight, Sherwin?
Well, it is Taco Tuesday, and you inspired me,
Mm,
so I got a Dos Equis lager.
nice. Pretty good, isn't it? It had been a while for me. The Double Deuce was the last time I think I'd had one when we used to get those.
It's quite tasty, all things considered. It's certainly better than a Budweiser for lagers.
That goes without saying. Well, dude, you know what day today is. So, of course, I had to run to the store and grab a Sweetwater 420.
See, I didn't math that out correctly because I should have got some of that, but it is 420, and I did post some things about Willie Nelson today on the Twitter handle.
Well done. Well done. I got to admit, because the beer scene has exploded so much and all that, I don't know the last time I had a 420. And, it's pretty darn good.
It's a tasty beer, especially for a startup. 1997, I think.
Is that it?
That
Yeah.
was their first thing they did was
Yeah.
420, and they nailed it.
Absolutely. Their headquarters is now, I don't know, it's the closest brewery to my house except for one small super micro that they opened up in Chambly, which I'm wearing my Chambly shirt today, by the way. But
Oh, nice.
they're really close. It's really easy to get to Sweetwater, and it's really easy for me to get there from Buckhead and for Serena to get there from Atlanta, from Midtown. And so we meet up there way too often now because they've got almost all outdoor seating.
Routinely.
Yeah, it's almost all outdoor seating. So if it's a nice day, we're like, Sweetwater? Yep, Sweetwater. So go down there, and they have they must have 20 to 25 beers, and most of them you can't get outside of the brewery. They're just playing with something that day. So, yeah, it's kind of cool.
Oh, that's excellent. There's one almost that close to me. Well, actually, I mean, if you, in terms of proximity, is closer. And there's a guy that I work with. It's like, whenever it is they open up, I owe you a beer because I've been helping him a lot with his product development stuff. And I was like, you just let me know. It's like, I don't know, tap something. I don't know what it is. But he likes beer, and he knows I like beer, and he's like, yeah, let me go buy you a beer. And it's literally, I mean, it's like a par 10 from here.
Okay. I love it. Dude, I've got a little story to tell. I like starting the show off with little stories every once in a while. This one has to do with this email that I get probably every 3 months or so. And we host the .com, the PETM.com on... it's from domain.com is who we buy the domain from or whatever. Doesn't matter, but we're affiliated, whatever it is. Our vendor for the .com is domain.com, right? And so apparently, I don't know if they sell your information or what it is, but there's this company, and I'm going to try not to like dox anybody on the show here, but there's this company that does like this security scanning stuff, and they're a legit company, but they have some pretty illegitimate ways of trying to bait you into like buying their stuff. So every 3 months or so, I get some email that's like, we found malware on your website. If you don't want it to be shut down by domain.com, we're contracted by them to find blah, 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 then you need to contact us immediately. And I'm like, and I log into the website. I go into our administrative dashboard. I look through some stuff. I'm like, nope, you're lying. So, but this time I decided to engage, right? and they hooked me up with this one dude out in Phoenix. It's not like some overseas thing or whatever. And he calls my cell phone, which was funny because Apple or Google or whoever it is, they showed it as like scam alert, when it called. Mm-hmm. So I didn't pick up the phone, but we emailed back and forth a little bit. And but he left a message, and I mean, he was like, you must blah, blah, blah. But hackers got into your website this past Saturday. So I emailed him back, and I'm like, dude, what's the deal here? Like, what? can you tell me where this malware is or where this phishing is? Or he said that people put like advertisements on our website for all kinds of nefarious stuff. Like, evidently, PETMpodcast.com is open for business right now. I named this show. I know the title of this episode is the Accidental PETM Podcast Store. And so we're selling, baby. We're selling Cialis. Evidently, we're selling all kinds of mess. I don't know what, but
if we're selling boner pills, we should at least get to do a read and get a little cash out of it.
Right. Give me something for that. So what I did, I said, can you send me some sort of evidence, some sort of like, what did you find? Because I would love to know so that I can go fix it. And he said, well, here, and he pasted a screenshot of what was evidently some malware scanner. I mean, it's all, fake bullcrap, but it had various links on our website. Like, one of them was from, like, if you go on our website and click the, like, July 2015 link, it just has, like, the 4 episodes we did in July of 2015 on that page. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing on there. There's absolutely nothing but just, the podcast and a link to the podcast, and that's it. And so there was a bunch of our links, and then next to each link, it was like phishing, and then the next one was like pharmaceutical products, and the next one was phishing, and the next one was malware, and all this stuff, right? And so, so Rusty got in a mood, and I decided that I was going to go to their website, and I was going to produce a fake report. So we have Rusty's Rust Scan is what we called it. And the Rusty's Rust Scan, I just pulled a bunch of their links, right? And I was trying to decide on what categories that I was going to ding him on, right? Because he had pharmaceutical and malware and blah, blah, blah. So the 3 that I came up with, the first one I said sea urchin porn. So, you don't want that on your website, do you? You got to get rid of the sea urchin porn. I don't know what sea urchin porn is, but, that's pretty bad stuff. So I
don't even know what the hell sea urchin is.
Right?
Much less pornography involved in one of those things.
Right. The next one I said Hitler fan fiction.
Oh my goodness!
You don't want all this Hitler fan fiction on your website, do you? And I made it look real pretty. Like it looks official. It's got check boxes and warnings and all this mess. And then the last one was male dehancement pills. So, like, if you went on PETM podcast and you overdosed on your Cialis or something, and you need the antidote, go over to their website and get the dehancement pills, and you'll be good to go.
Is that like the 4-hour rule or whatever?
Yeah. 4 hours later, the blood rush will back to your head.
I wonder if that didn't stem from some very disruptive behavior that I saw on the Twitter and engaged in when I should not have.
Oh, I doubt it. This happens every 3 months. This was the first time I decided to engage, and the response back was, "Okay, well, glad you're taking care of it. Take care. Be sure to have some security stuff. See you later." Like it was very disappointing that the response was so benign. I was waiting on something, really, like, hey, what's going on? What's up with your website? The Rusty's Rust Detector has found some pretty nefarious stuff. So anyway, that was my story.
That's a fun word.
I was pretty proud of Hitler fan fiction and the male dehancement pills.
Hitler fan fiction will probably get some people excited. For obvious reasons.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, so we're telling stories. I want to tell one that had me falling in the floor today without taking up too much time of the podcast. One of my directs told me a story about how he had run over a softball with his lawnmower.
Oh, no.
And put a hole in his neighbor's house. And we joked, and this is 2 weeks ago, we were laughing about it. And he goes, that dude came over to the yard and was like, man, I got a hole in my house. And he had to play stupid about it. And he's like, well, this old guy he had this whole elaborate story that had me rolling in the floor. Because the guy's old, he's got an oxygen tank that he pulls around. He talked about how he went through the yard and fell over. So it just kept going. It was like somebody had written a comedy show and he was just telling the truth. And he finally, like, he was like, he didn't admit to doing it, but he's
Mhm.
like, well, if you buy the vinyl, I'll get up there and I'll reinstall it for you. And I'm like, Gerald, you're going straight to hell, man. Why didn't you just tell him you did it? But apparently the dude found out because rain was blowing in sideways
Oh
like it was a
gosh.
Forrest Gump movie, and it was getting into his drywall in whatever the room of that house
Oh
was.
no.
I'm dying because, I mean, obviously that's not cool, but the way he was telling, he just has a way about, you know how people have a way about
Uh-huh.
telling stories, you
Uh-huh.
just laugh even though you're not supposed to. Like, I was like, Gerald, God Almighty, it
Oh
it
man.
was funny.
Oh, I love it. Oh man, my glasses are fogging over from laughing so much here. I love that way. You know that's something that might be I don't know if that's a Southern thing or whatever, but when you you tell somebody, dude, you were going straight to hell. That's good. Oh man. Well, speaking of going to hell, Sherwin, we didn't get to talk about it much last week, but you took a little trip down to New Orleans to visit some friends. Tell us about it.
Oh man, that it was so much fun. We spent most of our so they live in the south side of the
Yep.
French Quarter,
Yep.
and I mean we'd stuck a toe in the water on Bourbon Street for like 3 total hours at a dueling piano bar, but there was so much other stuff to do. Like it, that obviously going to New Orleans for Mardi Gras and doing all that, all the stuff you and I did in college with the fraternity and all that stuff. Obviously, we had an absolute blast.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, all right, I want to go somewhere. I want to get a really good bourbon cocktail, and I want to get some shrimp and grits,
Mm-hmm. And
or
you were
some
hanging
shrimp.
with Juliet Miranda,
Yes.
Morning
So
Neurosis.
Juliet Miranda at Morning Neurosis, the author and host of the uh, what is it? Oh my God, it's something rant. Uh, why am I losing my mind right now?
Because you're live.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. It's the Unwritable Rant
Yes,
podcast, and her husband David is
the
an
producer.
awesome dude too. I mean, it is cool. They got a little flat apartment in like on the second floor of in the French Quarter. Like it's so cool. Like it's so cool. I don't know how to
Dang,
describe it because it was that cool.
dang. No wonder
And
she's
they're
so
into
into
art.
whiskey because that's prime like Sazerac and whatnot.
Oh, I had Sazeracs, I had Manhattans,
Mm.
and if you order a Manhattan in New Orleans and you don't ask for it up,
Uh huh.
you'll get it in a highball with rocks, which is fine by
Interesting.
me.
Okay. Hmm.
But whereas you go somewhere highfalutin like some of the places where you and I have lived, and you ask for a Manhattan, you get it up,
Mm-hmm.
like in a cocktail glass. But they serve it rocks, like it's old fashioned.
Interesting. Okay.
Um, and no, I mean it was so cool. We went to Cafe Du Monde, got hot beignets,
Mm-hmm.
cafe latte. I mean that's all they do at Cafe Du Monde is
Oh
you
yeah.
can only get beignets and a coffee. That's all they got.
Yeah.
And there was a line 50 people deep, and it took us about 5 minutes to get through that line.
That's funny. That's exactly the experience we had last. Well, if you don't count 2020, we call it last year when we went down there. Same thing. We were like, yeah, let's go get some beignets at Cafe Du Monde. We get down there and we're like, oh my god, the line. So we just jumped in line just to figure out if we even wanted to stay there. And next thing you know, we had a bag of beignets and a coffee. Like, oh, okay, never mind. It's fine.
Yeah, like so the last morning I was there, which was Monday morning, um, I was like, there's one only 2 blocks away, a beignet cafe. I was like, I was thinking about getting up early enough to just go down there and get some.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, we could go down to Cafe Du Monde. I was like, yeah, that's 10 blocks away though. I
Yeah.
already done had them. I was
Right.
like, I might as well
Right.
try somebody else's.
Let me try that.
And it was a little cakier than the Cafe Du Monde, but it was still delicious. But yeah, recommend New Orleans to anyone who's listening. Don't worry about Bourbon Street. There ain't nothing for you there unless you're there for Mardi Gras. There's so much better stuff. I mean, live music,
Mm.
good food, good good drinks, whatever you want. South Side, French Quarter, trust me. Royal Street, St. Louis Street, you're good.
Hmm.
You don't even have to leave that. There's like a 8 block quadrant you don't even have to leave.
Hmm.
That they got everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember we did go on Bourbon Street one night, and it was just kind of like, it was a little awkward. Like, what do we do? And then we go into some place, and they don't have any regular drinks. They're all, weird. And you're like, I don't know if I'm getting scammed. Like, this is just fruit juice, or if there's so much liquor in this that I'm not going to be able to make it home. I don't know. So,
Well, I didn't even have a hurricane.
yeah.
Didn't do it because David
Oh.
was like, "There's too much sugar in that. You don't want nothing to do with that. Trust me."
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and so David is a former bass player.
Oh,
So of
cool.
course he had a guitar, and I got to beat on that a little bit, which is pretty
Nice.
cool because I'm sure it was an expensive guitar.
Nice.
And it was just neat. Like it was so cool. So the room that I slept in is where Juliet does the podcast from.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And so I got to see all their equipment. That was cool too, just from a perspective because obviously her podcast is like 10,000 listeners or whatever it is, but it was they were great hosts. Like we just got along. Like
Hmm.
you just kind of like you're gonna get along with somebody, you just get along. It was like, hey, I'm here, and they're like, cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I bought this ring
Nice.
to replace the one that I lost.
Oh, bummer. I didn't know you lost that one.
But there's some history to this thing because I bought it from a estate sale real reseller.
Interesting.
And so David looked at it, and he's like looking at the wear on it and looking at the pattern and looking how it has no seam on it. He goes, that ring's at least 50 years old. I'm like, all right, I already got a story then.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't need any other souvenirs from New Orleans. I got one.
Yeah.
And it was half off.
Nice. Nice. Well, that's awesome. I look forward to getting back there at some point, and yeah, we got to wander the streets down there. That'd be fun. Me and you need to go to New Orleans. We need to hit up all the news because me and you hadn't been up to New York, and that we can have some fun up there.
Oh, you and I need to go to Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Rednecks do Manhattan needs to
Yeah.
be like a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been there so much now with the old job. I was going up there every other week, so I at least had the skinny on some of the places. I'm not like some expert wacko whatever, but I at least I can get my way around. I'm not I'm not just newbie touristy. What's funny is that like nobody at my company wanted to stay anywhere near Times Square. They hated that, but I was always like, yeah, put me in Times Square. That's fun. Why not? Like I'm in New York. I might as well. I never really got tired of it. So some cool places around there.
Well, yeah, and my cousin lives 2 blocks away from 27th and or 29th and 7th,
Okay.
which is where that rooftop bar thingy is.
Yeah, yeah. South Side.
And he, Rusty, I'm telling you, you and I make each other laugh all the time. My cousin Matt is hilarious.
Fantastic.
And he's a Wall Street finance lawyer.
Well, sir.
And he hasn't owned a car in 20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he's been in Manhattan that long. He's got a 1-bedroom apartment, basically. And I don't even want to know what his bank account looks like. 'Cause we probably can't count that high.
Got some crooked numbers and a lot of zeros. Oh, man. So I do want to give a quick report here. The wife was out and about this evening, and I was putting together show notes, and I was like, I got to get something to eat. I opened up the refrigerator, and I think like the only thing I could make was eggs and cabbage. and I do not know how those two things can go together. But I guess there's a Japanese dish called okonomiyaki that I think I absolutely hate it. It's disgusting. My wife likes it, but I was like, I ain't fixing to even try any of this eggs and cabbage nonsense. So I went to McDonald's, and they've got them a new spicy chicken sandwich, and they have upped the game on spicy level for fast food restaurants. So good job, McDonald's, for your spicy chicken sandwich. So I'm
well, yeah. Shout out to Bubba Wallace.
Yeah,
he needs to be hawking that daggum sandwich.
There you go. I'm a fan. Well, I shouldn't say I'm a fan. Yeah, the taste was like meh, but it'll light you right up. I was happy with had to blow my nose a couple times, so nothing wrong with that.
Crap, if it lights you up, I don't even need to go anywhere near it.
It's not that bad. It's not gonna. It wasn't a lingering hot. It was just like, you take a bite and you're like, McDonald's, look at you. You're trying to be somebody. All right. So anyway, let's do it, dude. Let's tear it down. There it is. And we're starting the teardown with the highest accolade that anyone can get on the PETM podcast. I mean, we've got bachelor's, master's, PETM, PhD, but then there's this. Oh, sir. I don't know if we played it once this year because you called it one time, but that one right there is for Jeremy Course last week. He's kind of a NASCAR insider, right? He's friends with Brent. He knows some stuff, and he busted out Bowman at Richmond. And I think both of us sat there scratching our heads like, Bowman? Okay, interesting choice. And then he runs off and gets a checkered flag, and you're like, all right, something's up here. I don't know about all this.
Well, so as I am prone to do, being a pretty emotional and reactive person, man, that was something else. Mm-hmm. Not just Jeremy calling the win, but Bowman winning and the emotion that he showed during his interview. I straight up lost it.
Well, I was reading Gluck's article today about it, and just reflecting back on what he got. Who did he get fired by? Was it Baldwin Racing?
Yes.
Like, he got fired from Baldwin Racing and was completely, up the creek, if you will. And then it was like, hey, Junior's sick. Why don't you go ride his car and drive it around? And next thing you know, who's in the 48? That's pretty crazy.
Well,
so,
yeah. I mean, it's like I was talking to somebody offline about this, Bowman is one of the guys that did it the hard way. Mm-hmm. Like, he's had all these starts in not great cars. He got fired, probably because the money thing was just not checking out. Mm-hmm. And Hendrick was like, man, this guy's really good on a sim.
Yeah.
What if we just hire him to do that to help us with setups so that we don't have to, have Junior and Jimmy and Jeff and Casey, drive the sim. Mm-hmm. And it worked out so well that, like you said, he ends up getting to fill in for Junior, and then all of a sudden now he's in arguably one of the 5 or 8 premier cars in the sport.
Absolutely, and the provenance of that car, not that exact car, but just a number that's hung on the side and whatnot. I mean, there's something to be said there that like you said, gets you gets you a little emotional, gets you going like, all right, this is pretty cool, and the legacy of the 48 and all that. So what can I say?
Well, and doing it like 100% the right way. I mean, he just was a racer, and what I loved hearing on one of the podcasts I listened to was they called out Jeff and Clint both for identifying during the broadcast that while Joey and Denny were having great days, and Truex, they're like, look at a Bowman over there. He's hanging around. Mm-hmm. He's here. Mm-hmm. And then he wins the race, and it's like, yeah, you got to be in it to win it.
He's there for sure. So, yeah, absolutely. And let's see, got some folks on the chat hanging out. Swine Brothers are hanging with us. Heather, Sarah, Roger, Deb, thanks for hanging out. Well, with that, Sherwin, he beat out you already said it. Hamlin, Logano, Christopher Bell was up there. Truex, you already mentioned. How about how about Hamlin? I mean, talk about always bridesmaid, never the bride this year. But he came out and said, I thought it was interesting. Some people were calling it the loser speech or whatever, but saying that I'd rather be where I'm at than where Bowman's at right now. Like, I don't know. Bowman's, not mathematically, but just about a lock for the playoffs. So I'm not going to be,
Well, the thing that I heard that I listened to today that was most interesting to me was Steve Letarte on Nate Ryan's podcast, the NBC NASCAR podcast, was Letarte being concerned about Hamlin, like, because you have that close finishes, and that can destroy morale for a team. And so we'll have to see what becomes of, Denny's season. But he's seen it happen where you have that many close finishes, and then all of a sudden the team just sort of disintegrates from a morale perspective. And we already know that Denny's got the best pit crew in the sport. He's had the best pit crew in the sport for, how many years?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
ever since they
busted off an 11-9
yeah,
to close the race, and they still didn't win the race.
Yeah. So, interesting there. So, other interesting thing, this brings us to 8 different drivers that have won this year, meaning 9 more gives us the magic number, the 17, right? So
well, and so let's count who the 9 could be.
That's
right?
what I was going to do.
Well, I see what you got written there.
Yeah. So I've got the folks who I feel like are, in an ideal world, who knows? But in an ideal or in a normal season or whatever, they're gonna get a win, right? And I put Hamlin in there, Chase, Harvick, Brad, and Kyle. Now Kyle, of course, had his stuff last year. He ended up getting the win late in the season. But thinking about those 5, that brings us down to 4 more. Unless you have any disagreements on those 5, but that means we need 4 more, right?
No, you're all over it. Those are exactly the 5 people that I have named multiple times. I'm like, these guys are going to win in the next 18 races or 17 races.
Right. So,
but then you got a or a Kurt Busch in there somewhere.
Yep. So let's break it down one by one. Kurt Busch, do you see him winning this year?
Yeah. He's won every year he's been in Cup except for the year he drove for James Finch.
There you go. So that brings us to, 5 plus? So we needed 4 more. So that brings us to 3 if Kurt wins. I think Austin Dillon has a win in him.
It definitely at Daytona.
Well, super speedways. Unfortunately, the dirt had already, passed. I think that was a prime opportunity for him. But yeah, super speedways for sure.
Yeah, I think Dillon is probably in the mix.
Mm-hmm. So the next one I put down, and just walking through the top 20 or whatever, maybe 25. Stenhouse is up there in points. I'm not sure I've got him in the W column though.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I look deeper in, I see Buescher, who's running really well.
So Buescher, he's proven that he can.
Roush looks like they might be picking their pace up a little bit.
Yeah.
Actually, sorry, I shouldn't say Roush. He's at JTG Doherty, isn't he? Yeah. He's at JTG Doherty. They're running basically not hand-me-down, but they're running the same chassis as Dillon is.
Isn't he in the 17 for Roush?
That's right. You're 100% right about that.
Doherty was a couple years ago, but talking about Roush.
So whatever they're doing in the 17 is proving to be working. Reddick is probably in the same boat as Dillon.
Mm-hmm.
in some respects because they're in the same chassis.
Right.
Newman's Newman.
I'm not seeing a W there. So let's keep count. We've got if we say Kurt and Dylan, that gets us 7 of the 9. So we need 2 more. Busher's like a half a one. We'll call that a half a win. And so now we need what 1.5 more. How about Burrito?
Well, so I'm gonna skip down because
Okay.
I think of the next ones that you have listed in our notes, I think Almirola might be the one that's closest.
So here's my thing, is that SHR. I mean, that's the big news right now, right? SHR needs to step up. Now I put Harvick in the absolutely camp because he can step up to any plate. Put him in something, he's going to win, right? When I look at these other guys, Custer, who else is in there? Briscoe.
Yep, Briscoe, Chastain,
Yeah.
Suarez.
Well, I'm talking SHR.
At SHR. Yeah.
So Almirola is, I think, clearly the number 2 here. I feel like we've got another half with Almirola. What do you think?
I think Almirola can win at an intermediate track. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's funny because I was thinking about not super speedway, but something like, we're like a Brickyard style thing, a 2-miler kind of thing.
I was thinking Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan.
So we're right on the same page there.
Yeah. There you go. So who do we have left? We need like one more, right? We've got Bubba, Suarez, Ross.
Well, Bubba could definitely. Well, anybody could win at Talladega. That's. I mean, if the people that are normally very good at Talladega have a rough day, then all of a sudden you introduce. So the thing about Bubba and Daniel Suarez is those cars are actually performing better than expected if you have the realistic expectations for what those cars should be.
Mm-hmm.
They're performing ahead of schedule. They may not be finishing ahead of schedule, but they're performing ahead of schedule. And so I would say it's probably flip a coin whether Bubba or Suarez steals one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because at this point, where they're at with the teams they're with, stealing one is kind of what people are going to call it.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, they're trying to call what Bowman did stealing it. It's like, he ran in the top 5 all day.
I don't know about I don't know about all that.
What is it they say about racing all the time, especially the racers that actually comment on racing. They're like, if you can run in the top 5, you can win a race. Bowman was in the top 5 all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that wasn't no fluke. Look at Jeremy last week. He had insider knowledge, as we keep saying. No, not really, but he's on the radar. Bowman has been, and not only just on the radar, he's on the bullseye. So in this race, so I think we figured out, what combination of these folks could do that. It is funny though, once after you get the 5 that are locked in, and that's harsh or weird to say, you might have a couple, and then after that, I mean, it does need to get a little interesting / dicey or whatever you want to call it. As far as we said Hamlin, Chase, Harvick, Brad, Kyle as 5, so we need 4 more. I'm going to say if we're going to have 4, we're going to see Kurt, we're going to see Austin Dillon. I agree with you that we'll see Eric Almirola, even though he's a little bit lower in the points, and I would call Tyler Reddick if I'm choosing 4 more out of who's there.
Yeah, so if you think about the tracks that Reddick might really be able to use what he's good at, the night race at Bristol's now in the playoffs, so it won't be that one.
Mm-hmm.
But any of those tracks that have a nasty surface, he's going to have an advantage.
Yeah.
The same way Larson has an advantage. Reddick just seems to. He may not be as good of a race car driver as Larson is, but he doesn't mess his car up as much as Larson does.
Hmm. And
So
if
I
you
don't
get
know if that
one,
means.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry.
No, I don't know if that means one is more of a cerebral driver than the other, but he just Reddick doesn't seem to end up in wrecks. We don't hear about
Yeah,
Reddick being in wrecks.
yeah. And I believe if we have, which we normally do have, one rainout race, that's where you're going to see the Busher, maybe a Stenhouse, probably not though, but Busher might, lead some laps there. Burrito started off garbage this year and has clawed his way back to top 10 this week. So he's, he's bear market for Burrito. And maybe, at a super speedway, a Bubba or something like that, or even Suarez. Ross, I feel like he's in decent enough equipment to do some Ross stuff.
Yes. So far we haven't really seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the track that may throw people for a loop might be Loudon or Dover.
Ooh, okay.
And that might be where one of those guys just maybe their team nails the setup
Mm-hmm.
because they're so weird compared to the other stuff that we do.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, we call Loudon the big Martinsville, but it's really not. It's something different than that because the corners are actually flatter.
mm-hmm.
And they require you to choose a line that's a little bit different than most of these guys drive these racetracks. They really like to be good at Loudon. You have to wait way late along the fence, and then dive down to the curve to be fast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that really probably fits Reddick really well.
Yeah, yeah. So there you go. There's the PETM lock of the month on what 17 winners would look like. We've checked off a few of the, maybe wouldn't have expected, like with a Michael McDowell and maybe in Bowman, but there's a lot of talent up top now too. So I wouldn't count Bowman out anywhere at this point. I mean, he's
Well, here's the wild thing: is let's say Denny doesn't win a race in the first 26, which is pretty much not happened his entire career.
mm,
So it's probably not very likely. But he's got such a big points lead that guess what?
oh
The points leader is an automatic
oh
qualifier.
there is that.
So there's a couple of things that could go on that might still get us to that place where a winner doesn't make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, so that could potentially be 8 more instead of 9. So that's a great point. I love it. Let's move on. How about trucks, man? John Hunter Nemechek, and I'm calling it out in trucks because for the second time this season, he beats out the boss for the win. That was impressive.
It was awesome, and all it did is continue to build the thought process behind why he would leave a middling cup car to go drive the best truck.
Mm-hmm.
And their motto is we're here to win.
Absolutely.
Winning, we're here for the trophy.
Absolutely.
And to see, like, again, same thing with Bowman, to see the emotion,
mm-hmm.
the happiness, the excitement that, hey, this is a validation that I made the right decision. You just can't beat that. And him being a legacy driver just makes it that much better.
Yeah. Yeah. What was I going to say? Just his, shoot. You were talking about how he went from the middle cup. Oh, I know what I was going to say. The whole winning at KBM. I mean, look at like we talk about it way too often, but look at when Casey Kane went over and started drove a KBM truck every once in a while, first or second every time. Like that's what they do. They've got some special sauce over there. I guess is the point. Special
Yeah,
sauce
well,
meaning a truckload of money, but
they got the best stuff. And, Brad talked about it when he was running his team. And he said, we got a little bit different model. We actually have to break even for this to work for us.
Mm.
Kyle doesn't because he has Toyota factory money.
Ah, yeah.
So there's a different input than there was for Brad, even though Brad had some really good equipment.
Yeah.
And they won a lot of races. But what Kyle's able to do is not just that they build really good trucks. It's that they have Toyota TRD money. And they have Kyle as a director of what should be happening. And as it turns out, Kyle is a fantastic talent scout.
Mm. Yeah, no doubt.
He's like, yep, this guy right here can race. I'm going to put him in one of my trucks, and I bet you he's going to win. And they do.
Did you see?
I mean,
oh no, go ahead.
No, to me, he's almost the same. Like, he and Junior are the same. They don't get credit for how well they spot talent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could talk about Josh Berry. I know it's not in the show sheet, but Junior's. Look at all the guys that have driven a car for Junior that are now in Cup.
Yeah. What can I say? Yeah.
Well, two of them are champions, Chase and Martin Truex.
Chase was on his way. Truex definitely benefited from that whole ordeal.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see Kyle's petty revenge at the kart track at Coda?
I did not. I saw it in your show notes here, and I was like, I wonder what the hell this is.
Oh, that was funny. There's like a 7-second video of it, but he and a couple other folks and Bowman, Bowman was leading. This was like a go-kart track that was near Coda or whatever. I didn't read into all the details, but I watched the 7-second video, and Kyle on this big old dog leg, Kyle cut the corner, like extreme super cheated, cut the corner, and like drove in between some pylons and took the lead at the end. And he was like, "Yeah, I win." It was funny. It was a Kyle Busch moment that was funny in the Kyle Busch way. Like anybody else does it, and you think, what a, fill in the gap here. But
right.
Kyle does it, and it's like, okay, well, that's Kyle's way of being Kyle. What can you do? But yeah, it was funny. So. It's worth the 7 seconds of that video to just watch him.
I will definitely watch that here in just a few minutes.
Yeah. It was such an illegal, like totally against the rules. You can't break the rules any more frivolously than that. Right? It was like, I'm going to drive through this area where there's like, fans and other stuff. There weren't fans there, but like it was just hilariously wrong. And then he's like, "Yeah, I kicked your ass."
I mean that. I don't know. That's why I've come around on Kyle. Is he just him. He's always him. He's always authentic. He is the same person all the time.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And then I think somebody interviewed him at some point afterwards, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, we're not used to getting any speed, so I got to find it anywhere I can." It's just, being downer on, like a little acidic toward what he's currently doing in Cup. But anyway, definitely go watch that.
I'm sure I'll laugh.
I did have, speaking of laughing, because I thought this was funny, I had something in the show sheet. If you go to thedrive.com and there is an article about the Memphis, Arkansas Speedway, and it was NASCAR's only 1.5 mile dirt track. And that sounds really cool. Like, wow, they must have really thought, like, we're going to do a dirt track. We're going to do something different, blah, blah, blah. Look at us. And it turns out that in 1954, they couldn't afford the $100,000 that it would have cost to pave the track. So they said, F it. We're running on dirt. So instead of paving the track, they just ran it on dirt, and now it's like this legendary, ordeal. But I love how that stuff comes together. Sometimes, I guess, the whole point where it was just a matter of like, we're not going to pay $100,000 to pave this thing. Just have them run on dirt. Who cares? And now it's like, oh my gosh, this dirt race legendary thing. So anyway, I thought it was funny.
No, yeah. I mean, they were still running a lot of dirt back then. I mean, Martinsville was dirt in 1954.
Yeah, yeah. Hell, the road I grew up on was dirt in 1981. But
well, yeah, Red Dirt Road, baby.
Yeah,
Brooks and Dunn.
Fifth period here. We were driving through the notes, but there was one of the commissioners of the Nashville Speedway kind of raised some doubts on NASCAR at Nashville in 2022, pretty much saying the logistics were like, listen, y'all, like this is one of those like grab everybody by the shoulders and be like, listen, let's be real. There ain't no way we can put on a cup race in 2022. But after that, all bets are off. So I'm willing to be patient.
Well, I think what Smith said was that they were going to plan for 2023. Bruton's kid. That was their plan, like from the beginning. Once they signed the contract or whatever, got the permit from the mayor of Nashville, was they weren't going to run until 2023. So they've got two years to figure it out.
Yeah. So no doubt. Looking forward to that. Let's see. So, what was next on here? I thought this was just funny. Cody Ware caused 3 cautions, and I think it was Mike Joy on the radio or something, or on TV, and he was like, after the third one, he was like, and Cody Ware. Yep. It was something like that. And so what was funny about this is that somebody retweeted that video and said, and I'll quote this, he said, and this is why Cody Ware is a good example of why daddy's money doesn't buy talent. And so I'm going to give props to Rick Ware Racing, who liked that post. I thought that was like a good, like, no comment, no nothing. They just gave it a heart and moved on. Like, that's a good, like, almost a good middle finger, if you will. I thought it was funny.
Pretty much. I mean, and that's Rick Ware to a T. We had him on the show. He's one of the most fantastic interviews that we've had on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the man just has got a ton of information to disseminate, and everybody knows that he's not got the best stuff out there, and they're probably not going to win races. So it's funny that he would be like, yeah, middle finger.
Yeah.
I'll give you a heart.
Yeah.
Moving on.
and moving on. And speaking of Rick Ware, how about Jennifer Jo Cobb? Last week we heard she was going to race Talladega. I was pumped. I was excited. It was cool to hear. And then this week we hear that NASCAR says, no, you're not allowed to run Talladega because of, they have some criteria for allowing people or not. And here's the funny thing. I mean, I guess I knew about it, but I hadn't really thought about it because I can't think of the last time somebody like was seriously going to be running a race and then told no, they're not allowed to. But I thought this was very strange to me. I mean, Jennifer Jo Cobb goes back a long way in NASCAR. She's a full-time truck driver. So, like, I don't know. It's weird to me that a full-time driver in the truck series who has led laps at Talladega in the truck is not allowed to run the NASCAR Cup race. I don't know. This was weird to me. I don't know.
Well, I'd like to understand better how the decision was made.
Right.
But my suspicion is that it's related to the fact that she hit everything but a fan at Richmond. And that just going to be what it is. Like, she impacted the race while running 32nd all day. And I would imagine there's probably some people in NASCAR that don't think that's very funny.
I get that. I would say she is a NASCAR, obviously not Cup Series, but a NASCAR veteran. And so you can't help but draw comparisons. Like, when's the next race you're going to say that you know, what's his butt, the old guy, can race. You know, like
Shepard.
yeah, Morgan Shepherd. Like, if he's allowed to run any race, then I should be able to run a race at this point, and Jennifer Jo Cobb should definitely be able to run a race. Like, what criteria? How are we figuring this thing out?
Well, I don't. So my perspective is I don't think she should have been excluded from getting a Cup license, but I think they made a really bad PR move as a group by announcing that she was going to run the car when her license hadn't yet been approved.
I mean, that's fair. You know, let that stuff happen in the background, and then what's the story later? The story later at that point is, well, we tried to get Jennifer Jo Cobb in, but we couldn't get the license stuff approved, and then it gets kind of swept under. But you know, now there's, now the paint has dried, so you know, we gotta answer to that. Now, I don't know. I just felt, I thought it was weird.
I wonder if it has something to do with not having ever turned a lap in a Cup car.
Yeah, and
is it something about that in the license process? And I don't know if she has or not, to be honest with you. I would be shocked if she hadn't.
Well, no, that would have been her Cup debut.
Well, I mean, like in some sort of practice or test session or something, you know, like. But now that we're in the way we do the sport now, it's not so easy to get that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not allowed, if you want to do your own test session, you have to do it on somebody other than Goodyear's tires, which at Talladega, I'm not sure how much that matters. I would need somebody a lot smarter than me in terms of the racing stuff to explain to me why it might. But I have a belief that it was about her behavior at Richmond and the way she wrecked Norm Benning, that they were just like, nah, we're not having this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they didn't look at that, and if it was just that, you know, this is Talladega, this is a different thing. You know, Kansas is after that, and then I think Darlington, Dover. Dover, I would feel like absolutely. Darlington, maybe. Kansas, maybe. I mean, I don't know if this is the end of the line or if this was I don't know how it all works. It's just kind of weird.
It is, and you know, the way Jen goes about running her truck business is obviously a little bit different. She runs it very similarly to the way Rick Ware runs his, is that we know we're not here to compete for wins. We're just trying to make enough money to be here. And she showed her ass at Richmond, and she's in a position where, you know, she ain't Kyle Busch. So showing your hind end.
Well,
you know,
there's a lot of not Kyle Busch, and that's the thing. Again, just drawing the comparisons, it's like, okay, well, what is this person doing in Cup if Jennifer Jo Cobb can't run, or what is that person doing, or what is one of these starting Parkers doing? I mean, we don't really have that as much anymore, but anyway, I don't want to belabor the point too much. Other than I was just kind of, you know, like, that's a little weird.
I don't disagree with you at all, and I mean, I read a ton of stuff on the old Twitter, and there was a bunch of stuff in both directions on it, and honestly, I don't understand why they didn't grant her the license either.
Yeah.
If for no other reason that she's been as committed as she is to NASCAR and wanted to try getting into the top level at a racetrack where she might have a chance to have a decent finish, and obviously NASCAR disagreed.
Yeah.
I would love to hear them be a little bit more transparent with the reason.
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Is how about some transparency here? How about owe something to the media or to the drivers or something to say, hey, not this year or not this race or not this track or whatever it is, and you know, give us some, I don't know, something there. But let's move on to some happier news. PETM alum Jesse Iwuji. Now, of course, we haven't been following ever since we went back, racing at in real life. We haven't been following the Pro Invitational series all that much, other than just every once in a while for fun. But Jesse Iwuji was voted as the fan favorite. We talked about it with Jeremy last week about some marketing faux pas, like don't have online voting or whatever. But hey, this one turned out great. He was voted by the fan vote to be in that race, and he beat out a lot of very big names there. So I thought that was pretty cool for Jesse Iwuji to be able to run that race.
Yeah, I did see that he had won the vote. I did not see who he beat out, but yeah, no, I mean, obviously, Jesse's just a good dude.
Yeah.
And he wants to race cars. He loves cars. And it's cool.
An American hero. Like, I mean,
and
come on.
He is a naval officer,
right.
An active naval officer.
Right? Like, has to take
and
a break.
He played
sometime.
for Paul Johnson at the Naval Academy.
Oh my gosh. I can't like somebody any more than this. But speaking of who he beat out, second place was Josh Berry. Third was Landon Castle, and other drivers that were in there were like Justin Allgaier, Noah Gragson was in there, Austin Hill was in there, Ryan Truex was in there. So very impressive to step up to the plate against those folks and get the fan vote. That's really cool.
Well, no better testament to his ability to market himself than to beat some of those guys in a vote.
Yeah.
And so that's cool. I mean, I hate it for those guys who didn't win that vote, but it's because Jesse is so good at marketing himself. That's why he would win that vote.
Yeah.
What it also says is that NASCAR fans really, really shouldn't have the stigma about diversity that they have, because Jesse is a black man from Texas.
You know what? I think the American hero part trumps all other things too. I mean, that's something that NASCAR fans are loyal to, and knowing I've got goosebumps right now knowing that a active naval officer is there. Yeah, America, buddy. Like that's cool as Christmas. So I'm in. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, my mom's oldest brother was an officer in the Navy, so I got a lot of respect.
That's fantastic. My father-in-law was. By the way, my father-in-law was just in a bicycle race, this past weekend, and he wore his Navy veteran hat during the whole thing. I thought that was cool as crap because he doesn't bust out the Navy stuff. He's one of those he's a nerd like me, and so he just doesn't bust out that kind of stuff all that often. But he those loud Navy veteran hats that people have?
I know exactly the ones you're talking about. He busted
that out, and I was like, that is awesome. That is cool as crap. I love it. So props to Larry. Well done. And America. And with that, let's gas it up, Sherman. There it is. We are going to Dega. Well, not physically, but almost. Almost. I wish Dega was one more week away, because I'd be like, I'd probably be nudging you right now, Sherman. I'd be like, dude, we kind of got to go to Dega. But I need to, I've spent the last year trying to be good about things, and I cannot, it's one of those, like, I need to not F it up at the very end, right? So, anyway, with that, Dega, what can I say other than it's anybody's game? It's all the stuff everybody else talks about, so why do I need to talk about it? But I'm excited to get back there. 2 hours from Atlanta, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, you put on a podcast and you BS for a little while, and next thing you know, you're at Dega.
Well, I'd fly in on a Thursday night to Atlanta, and then off we go the next morning to Talladega. Because I don't drive anymore. That's a new rule. And I don't mean not drive like as in I don't get in my car and use it. I'm like, driving to Atlanta, I got too many damn miles to fool with all that nonsense.
Yeah. There's things. we've talked about it on the show before. Once you turn 30, sunscreen is a thing. Once you turn once you turn 40, airplanes are a thing. Like that's how we're doing this from now on.
That's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
You know?
So I hear you. I hear you. Well, Sherwin, with that, it's time to do some picks. So last week, obviously, Jeremy picked Bowman, who won. I picked Truex, finished 5th. You picked Chase, who finished 12th. Overall, decent showing by PTM Podcast and guests. But that means this week you're going first. So, Sherwin, give us a pick.
Oh, you know how much this is going to hurt me. The best plate racer in NASCAR drives the FedEx number 11 Toyota. So I'm picking Denny Hamlin.
If anybody is here to like look at you cross-eyed and start pointing at you and say you're an idiot, they don't belong in the audience, I guess, because that's a fantastic pick. And alongside your pick, I'm going to go a little crazy because hey, it's Talladega, it's a super speedway, and anything can happen. So we need, for what we were talking about before about having 17 winners or 16 winners if Hamlin doesn't win. I'm going Austin Dillon on this one.
Nice, I like it.
So
I thought you were going to say like Bubba.
Oh man, I would. You want to talk about crying? I might cry if it's Bubba. Like that. That would be a whole new thing that I don't know how to deal with right now. So,
it would be Waterworks Central for me too.
Right.
It just, I mean, you remember that interaction I had with Stacy when they announced that Chase had won at Talladega.
Oh yeah, after he turned off and we couldn't see him anymore, and it was like, what happened? What happened? And then Chase wins. I mean, that was yeah.
I was like, I couldn't. I was like, I can't talk. I'm so happy. I don't even. I don't have the words.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, just gave me a hug. Like I'm like, I mean,
doesn't help.
Nobody. So every race fan should have the opportunity to see their race driver win in person.
Our avatar for the podcast is after Casey won. And
right.
That was, I talk about it often to people, and maybe folks who don't understand it quite much. Like, I've been to some pretty iconic sporting events, and that is in the Mount Rushmore when Casey won. And that was right after he won when Atlanta was the last one to qualify in for the playoffs. And so it meant that much more. So anyway, I sort of interrupted your story, but yeah.
No, it's fine. I mean, I think a lot of the folks that are going to listen to this have already heard it, but I mean, you and I were the same way. You watched turn 2 for like 200 laps,
mm-hmm.
and I watched turn 3 for like 200 laps,
mm-hmm.
and because you were saying, you were looking at if he's coming off high, he's probably got a good car.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if he's turning low in 3, he's probably got a good car.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just hyper dialed in.
Right.
And we, for those of, maybe there's some new folks that are showing up, we have the little push button things where we can actually talk to each other. Rusty and I didn't talk to each other for like the entire race. Like,
oh, man.
That's how much it means to a race fan to watch their race car driver win a race.
Yeah.
So it's awesome to see it on TV. I love seeing all the videos of people with their kids just, throwing stuff around. I mean, that's why we flip the couches, but being there in person
it's a different story.
It's something wildly different.
Yeah. Well, Sherwin, with that, why don't you close us out? Tell the people where they can find us. What's coming up?
All right. You can find us at PTM Podcast on Twitter and on Instagram. You can find me at Pregame Engineer on Twitter and at Andrew L. Sherwin. And you can find us at PTMPodcast.com.
He said it. PTMPodcast.com, at PTM Podcast on Twitter, and everywhere else you can find, social medias. Can't wait to talk to y'all next week after Dega. It's going to be a wild race. As always, I'm Rusty Wallace at Tailgate Mayor. Can't wait to see y'all next week. Thanks for hanging out. See ya. Boom. There we go.
You know what? I didn't talk about it. Probably a good thing I didn't. I guess kind of, sort of, because the sensitivity around it. But and I sent you the picture of me in front of the Robert E. Lee with the horse reared statue. This, one of those numbers.
Right.
I'm like, it's American history. It is what it is. You don't have to embrace it, but it's American history.
Yeah. I mean, you have to recognize that that's what it is too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of it.
Yeah.
Robert's not here to tell us why he was a part of whatever he was a part of. And the fact that it was somebody that you have a lineage to, I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that's what the statue was until Juliet was like, that's the Robert E. Lee statue right there. And I'm like, I'm going to need a picture of that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to do that just because. Doesn't have anything to do with politics or anything else. It's just a human being in a bronze statue on a horse.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, good time tonight. Thanks to the PETM posse for hanging out with us all evening. A lot of folks on the chat wall there, so that was really cool. So yeah, Deb said that the time went by fast tonight. I agree. I don't know why my sinuses are stuffed up. I say I don't know why, and then if you go outside, everything is yellow. So pollen and whatnot, and I've said it before. I don't have any like allergies, but I like. If you're in Atlanta during the spring, you will like get stuffed up from just snorting lines of pollen all day.
Well, and it's no different. I mean, we basically have the same climate here.
Mm-hmm.
It's same thing, same kind of trees. I mean, right now we're dealing with pine. Mm-hmm. It's going to get ugly here in another 2 weeks. So it gets in there so much easier. Goes around all your nose hairs and just gets right in there.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't mention it, but for the bike race that my father-in-law Larry was in, Serena went out there. My wife went out there and cheered him on or whatever. She made a sign and everything. It was kind of fun. But I had a plane booked. Like I try to go flying every week or so, and I was like, well, what am I going to do? So she was out there. I'm like, I'm going to fly over them. So I did a little flyover of the Rutledge, Georgia bike race that went on. And Serena has a picture of my plane going overhead. I thought that was kind of cool.
That's awesome. You went and hooted for your father-in-law.
That's right.
That's
cool. I wish I was in.
I'll come and hoot for you.
That's what I mean. So I was like, I wish I was able to do a banner tow and be like, go Larry.
That would have been cool.
Well, I think the YouTube folks are starting to dwindle down, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it off. It was great hanging out with everybody. Thanks for joining PTM Podcast tonight. We'll see y'all